Hello there, everyone. It's Patricia Hayes here with our Coffee Time Career Chat. I'm super excited because this is our new version for Wednesdays. As promised, in 2022, we're doing another little shift, keeping things fresh. And we're going to make sure that you stay on top of all things necessary for building out your professional relationships and successfully networking your way to the next level of your goals. For those of you joining for the very first time, my name is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And I am here with my lovely guest, Lorelei Gonzalez, who gets the honor of being the inaugural guest for our interview series, where we're just gonna kind of keep it light, have some fun. And you guys don't know, we've already been chatting for quite a while. We did all of that, and we're gonna give you the clean version now. So how are you, Lorelei? How are you doing?
I am most fabulous, Patricia. Happy 2022.
Happy 2022 to you too. This is so exciting. Y'all, this is how you do this. Just your first little strategy and tip. When you're trying to build out your relationships or you need something from someone in your network, it doesn't have to be this long, drawn out thing, right? Lorelei and I were connecting on following up on some other conversations. And I was like, hey, do you want to come on a new version of the show today? And she's like, sure, let's do it. So
let's go. That sounds fun.
This is literally how you can do it. And that's really the point of sharing in this way, to help people know that it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It doesn't have to be convoluted. When you're building your relationships, when you're nurturing your relationships, it's literally just about staying in touch and being open and being authentic about how to do that. So that said, I'm super excited. We're going to keep going here with just a few things, kind of let the conversation flow. And I have that first question, Lorelei, which is remember when we were trying to figure out how we met? How did we actually meet?
So we first met because someone got your name, knew you were awesome, and threw you at me because they knew I was looking for awesome people in the work that I was doing with the nonprofit that I was at.
Yes.
And that's just been a match made in heaven ever since. And you are never going to get rid of me.
I know. She's not going to get rid of me. I'm not going to get rid of her. Like, this is a mutual, little love fest here. And it really has been, y'all, because in that previous role, she has been, first of all, she's top notch. Like, this is definitely someone you need to put in your networking circle. I'm not just saying that because y'all know I don't blow smoke, but
no, she doesn't. kind of straight to the point with this one.
Soften it some.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, Patricia.
Okay.
I like it. That's why I'm still here.
But sincerely, when you're doing some work and you're doing a collaboration with someone new and you're doing it and then you're like, yeah, no, this works. And you just like, well, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we just keep going. I'm like, that's literally been our relationship, has it not?
It really has. It's been a wonderful confluence of just things just keep aligning for us. And I am so happy that, not to make you less special, Patricia, but you're not the only one that happens with. And I am sure so many folks that are watching you right now have that experience. We get such a great gift in meeting new people, especially when we're actively working on our networking. And one of the greater gifts when we're building out our network is to find all the wonderful ways we connect and just jive as human beings, which makes it even better when you connect those professional pieces. And I love that we've been able to connect those professional pieces while being connected as human beings. It's been fabulous.
We can probably end right there because that was it in a nutshell.
You're welcome. We're done.
All done. No, seriously, but it's really true. And it's that whole point, we were just talking about before we got on about how when you allow those things to happen and you let it flow, and how it doesn't have to be contrived, and you could just let things flow and let it go from there and make it work in a way that's authentic to you, right? Because I think it's true that neither one of us are good with inauthentic people.
And to be fair, like, let's get really clear. You are not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Correct.
And to talk about, like, mention like being contrived, you don't want to be everybody's cup of tea. That's why we have our favorites. Yep. We find people that we mesh really well with, and ultimately that creates beautiful, beautiful things.
Yes.
And there are people out there for everybody. You do not have to connect with absolutely everybody in your professional network in the same way, but I strongly, strongly suggest to connect authentically, and you will be able to build out boss relationships that will actually benefit you and will not bring you any sort of like pain to be like, oh God, I got to go have coffee with Patricia again. Don't do that to yourself. Nobody's winning in that situation.
It's really true. And people have a hard time, recognizing that or coming to terms with it and try to force it. And that just makes it worse, right? I mean, we didn't talk about this, but I'm thinking about a time when I had a coffee with a gentleman years ago, and I'm sitting there and I realized this is not it. This does not click. And, we finished it and I just never followed up because I realized, just like you said, I'm like, that's not a good fit.
Gosh, I have something to say on this, but I'll wait for your next question.
Okay. I kind of want to know what you had to say there. Right?
Okay. All right. So I tend to focus on women's issues.
Yeah.
Professionally. And I specifically want to point out that so many women in our culture and our society are trained to people please. It is one of the initial software downloads we get as small people. I need you to really assess and reevaluate some of the tendencies that we might be showing up like that in work, because people pleasing professionally does not really serve us.
No,
you do
not at all.
Not have to adjust who you are, make yourself like somebody. You don't have to be uncomfortable in professional settings and networking situations. Get the hell out. Just be authentic. And if you're not connecting with somebody, don't continue to connect with them. Period. It's not serving you. And the goal of professional networking is to serve you personally, professionally, in positive and healthy ways.
Yes, I love that you included it, positive and healthy ways, right? Because the thing is, for me, it's that give and receive, not just taking, because that's one of those things that makes it really difficult. Is you're just like, oh, what can I get from that person? That's really the wrong space to be in as well. That's not where we want to be. But that giving and taking is a part of a healthy networking relationship. And that's really the thing that's missing, I think, so much.
Well, what you kind of mentioned, a healthy networking relationship. When I think of relationships, I can think of a physical metaphor, right? A two-way road.
Yep.
We are both coming and going at the same time. We have to be giving and receiving.
Yes.
And if it's just a one-way road, that is not a relationship. You don't want to be a part of it.
Yep. You're right. Well, Lorelei has already, talked a little bit about what her passion is, which is women empowerment issues. What are some of the things you're focusing on right now? Because I know, we were talking about, again, before we got started, about so much transition in the world today, and how are people dealing with it versus not. So, tell me a little bit about what you're hearing and seeing during these days.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Flexibility is one of my personal and professional values. And, that kind of goes hand in hand with adaptability, right?
Oh, that's good.
But I like to use the phrase flexibility. And I think a lot of us, so many of us through the pandemic and all of the interesting situations that we've been encountering because of that, are having to really lean into flexibility and adaptability. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now in the conversations I'm having with all types of professionals. And I'm having to really hone in on what that flexibility looks like for me.
Yeah.
And let's get super real. When we are trying to be true to ourselves and live our authentic values, the professional values that we hold ourselves to throughout our lives, that is not the most comfortable of journeys.
No, not at all.
No one said it's going to be super easy. No one said, staying true to your values and your principles is going to be just wickedly comfortable, because it's not.
And no one trains us how to do that either. Let's talk about that.
No, but when they write all those books about themselves, they make it sound super easy and like smooth, but it's not smooth. It's a little bit rough like sandpaper. And a lot of people are experiencing that on and off in the past 2 years, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Right.
I'm having to lean into a little bit of that sandpaper right now, trying to figure out what some of my next steps are. And I'm talking to a lot of folks. And I have encountered so many people who are in the same situation.
Yeah.
Different degrees, right? Different degrees of that situation. But a lot of people are just questioning what they want, how they're going to get it, and how they're going to advocate for themselves on that road.
Oh,
and
that's a great point.
Staying flexible, not going in just like one way or no way at all, my way or the highway. I have to make this amount of money. I have to have this job title. I got to be able to work by blah, blah, blah. Our workforce is getting more adaptable because we're asking for it, because we're demanding it. And I think we have to hold ourselves to that same sort of standard. We have to get maybe a little more flexible, maybe a little more adaptable. Things are not going to look the same.
Yeah.
The workforce has just really, really changed, and it's going to keep doing that. I think I saw a stat that said remote work is going to be like 24% of the workforce is going to be remote fully by 2025.
Yeah, I was looking at something similar. I think I saw it was a LinkedIn economist. It was an article I just read, and how that prior to the pandemic, it was like 1 in 67 people worked remotely, and that now that number's looking like 1 in 7. I mean, so huge differences. And you're right, it's not going away.
No,
we have to be flexible and adapt to what's happening around us.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah,
we don't get to stay stagnant as people. We cannot expect to stay stagnant as professionals, and that includes the way that we show up at work. I mean, I know you're always talking about changing and staying adaptable and flexible in your networking patterns. You can't just do the same old thing every time, the same Wednesday luncheon for forever. You got to go meet new people. You got to go get outside of those circles. And this is going to be the same thing in the workspace. And I'm very excited about it and a little stressed about it. And I know that it's going to be okay.
It is going to be okay. I'm always the one that's going to say it's going to be okay. But let's lean into that a little bit more, talking about that little piece that's stress. So what do you see? And for those of who don't know Lorelei, I know her. So I know she's pretty much a really solid go-getter out there. So I'm interested to know this answer. What is your greatest networking challenge that you think that you've had over the years?
I wish I had so much more time to think about this. Over the years or over like this past year?
We'll narrow it down. What's your greatest networking challenge? You define the time frame.
Okay. My greatest networking challenge, period, is that I show up with a lot of energy. And that can be intimidating for people. So I try to stay aware of people's signals, body language, so that I'm not too much for some folks.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to me not being everybody's cup of tea. And that's just fine with me. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. If you're one of the people where I'm like, okay, well, this isn't going to be a good fit here. Nice to have met you.
Yeah.
Because it's nice to have met you, but I don't have to keep going, try to meet you there if it's not going to work. And I think that was part of me having to learn to rewrite some of that software download that said, gosh, everybody's supposed to like you. You're so awesome. Why don't they like you? There must be something weird going on. No, we're just humans, and not all humans are meant to like hang out in the same social group, and that's cool too.
Well, and let's talk about linking that with what you said a little bit earlier on that, you know, that female empowerment piece about, you know, quote, being too much, right? I know how you feel about those words and that line. So that's why I was like, did she really just say that? But, but it is true where women who are forceful, ambitious, you know, high energy, assertive, you know, gets flipped to she's aggressive, she's too much, and all of that. And so that, you know, kind of get into that space of, oh, well, maybe you're trying to shrink yourself in order to fit in with the people who you don't fit with anyways.
No. So I don't think I'm ever trying to shrink myself.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm saying in general. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think plenty of people get caught in that trap. I think it's very easy to, because again, this is going to be another gender specific social and cultural download that a lot of young girls get. We're supposed to please people. Women are supposed to like be people pleasers and be like the warm ones, you know, the connectors. You don't got to do any of that shit. Okay. You don't got to do any of that if that is not your jam.
Yeah.
But there are going to be a lot of people who expect that from you. And when you show up in a different way than what they expect, they're going to be a little put off. They're going to be a little concerned. They're going to be a little bit like, oh, I don't know if that's the right fit. And that's where you have to continue being your authentic you. Because either they're going to figure out that you not being what they expect is okay, and y'all might be able to connect. You might be able to build really beautiful professional relationships. And who knows, maybe I'll go start a beautiful company somewhere and ride off into the sunset. I don't know. But you also might find that they're just not your cup of tea because they can't handle who you are. Yeah. That is wonderful too, because at least both of you are being very true and sharing who you are. No, and part of who we are some of our expectations about the kind of world we want to exist in and the kind of people we want to have around us. And you just need to be really clear as a professional on the kind of people you want to be around you. Do you want those people to be supportive, to accept you for who you are, to support your strengths and help build up some of those weaknesses? Or do you want to constantly be on guard? Do you want to constantly
because that takes a lot of negative energy, when you realize that's what you're doing. Yeah, it's a lot.
No, we have way too much on our plates. Every single one of us has way too much on our plate already. And we're all guilty of adding more at any given time. We all definitely, I think in America, have a training that says you can just keep adding because, you know, overwork is lauded these days. Yeah. You know, that I only slept 3 hours last night sort of crap.
Yeah.
That doesn't make for a healthy human.
It does not make for a healthy human. And undoing and unlearning all of that, I mean, I think that's what's really, you know, struck home for a lot of people over the course of the last 2 years, which is there's some things and some habits that you're like, I have to undo this, unlearn this, because this does not serve me.
No. And a lot of people popped into new jobs and were like, oh, this is not what I thought it would be. I'm not going to stay either. Yeah. I'm going to hop right back out and go be flexible. I'm going to go find something that's true for me, where they accept me for who I am. I'm happy to be, you know, mission aligned with whatever it is they're doing. And we can continue building beautiful bridges together. Yeah. Or not. Either one's okay.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about, and then we'll be almost done. I mean, the time flies when we're having fun, right? Now we cheated a little bit because we kind of had like quite a lengthy conversation prior to, but it's okay. Everyone else is just getting.
It's called preparation.
It's called preparation. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, we prepared for this conversation and took our time doing it. So here is my final official question for you, which is, how do you stay connected? Especially, during, these times here, how do you best stay connected?
Okay, well, you said especially during these times here, which for posterity, we're in the middle of COVID year 2, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that I think many of us invested in during COVID was a little bit of mental health support.
Yeah.
Because mental health, when we're all trapped by ourselves, is so much more important. And we have been undervaluing it as a society and as a culture, and especially in the workplace, for years and decades. And the more we know now says that our brain health, our mental wellness is just as important as our physical wellness.
Yes.
And in my therapeutic journey, one of the things that I learned that has been very valuable to me, a little acronym: plant seeds every day. So SEEDS is the acronym, and it's social contact, daily social contact, exercise, healthy diet, and educate yourself, and then the healthy diet. So social contact, exercise, education, and then diet.
I like that.
And, for a raging extrovert like myself, daily social connection is really important. It's really healthy. And identifying that can be a little tricky because, we're attached to our digital devices, like texting people. And for some of us, that is a lot of social connection. For some of us, we need to be on the social medias, or I need to send out a number of emails today, and those back and forths on Slack or whatever, that's social connection. For this person right here, that is not enough social connection. So I have had to intentionally build out social time, reach out to my trusteds, reach out to my friends, be like, hey, I would love to hop on a FaceTime with you this week. Yes. Hey, are you able to go for a walk in a park? Hey, would you like to fill in the blank here, right?
Yeah.
Finding ways to get creative and be safe, but also have really good, healthy social connection in a way that maybe is sparking new ideas, at least keeping us sane. I mean, there's a lot of benefits of staying social.
Yeah.
Not to discount, good verbal communication is great. And we want to be able to stay on top of our great verbal communication professionally, even though so many of us don't have to do a lot of that these days. We just tap out that email and we're good.
So that we're not, regressing to our 5-year-old selves and having to be taught about how to interact with other people in person again.
Some of us are having to relearn some of those tools.
It's true.
I'm glad we're relearning. I don't want us to forget. So having that social connection helps me not forget plenty of things, but it also helps me learn and grow and find joy. And that's so important. That's so important for me as a person, because I bring that whole person to work.
Yes.
And if I'm not taking care of my person, I don't really take care of my business.
Oh my gosh, that is such a strong word to end on. I mean, it's so true. It is so true. And I am so appreciative of Lorelei bringing her whole self every time we talk. We always have a great time together. And I thank you so much for joining me here today.
My pleasure, Patricia, anytime. And good luck to everyone out there in 2022. You're gonna crush it.
Yes, I'm super excited. Thanks everyone for joining us. I look forward to reconnecting. Lorelei, tell us where people can connect up with you if they're interested in connecting. I know this is going live. This will be on LinkedIn and the Facebook business page and YouTube, just so everyone knows. So you'll be able to do that as well.
I'm on LinkedIn. That's the one that I like. That's the one that I use. You can find me at Lorelei MPA /Lorelei MPA. And Patricia, I'm sure you'll help them spell my name.
Yes, Lorelei. And so you can, and I will make sure and put it in the notes, and so that you can just, there's a joke behind that, you guys. Clearly, you know there is. And not because her name is funny, but it's like we've gone back and forth with that for years, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So making sure that we are mindful and respectful of all of us in our whole, in our whole being. So thank you once again. It's been awesome. I'm looking forward to following up with you. And if you are watching and interested in learning more, please feel free to leave comments and or reach out via the DM, and I'll be happy to get us all connected. All right. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and the rest of your week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.